CWPA Remote.
Hi, I'm Ed Hawes, Director of Communications for the Collegiate Water Polo Association, and this is the latest CWPA Remote. With me today, I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen Lischwe. I am the head coach of both the men's and women's water polo teams at McKendree University.
All right. Thank you for doing this for us. Let's start off with the easy question. How'd you get into water polo, and talk about your rise to being the head coach of McKendree University?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually from St. Louis, Missouri, and there is no girls water polo there. So when I was in 8th grade, a good friend of mine who played a club water polo invited me to a bring a friend to practice day. I showed up and I was the only female there, and ended up being pretty good at it. So I kind of ran with it, played all the way through high school on the boys team, and then also played with the USA Water Polo, I wasn't ODP at the time, zone team. So I did get a little bit of play with girls, but then I went on to play at Marist College. And when I left there, I was back in St. Louis coaching high school at Kirkwood High School, which is where I went. So I got to go kind of full circle, and then was coaching at St. Louis Area Water Polo Club. And that kind of led to coaching with the zone team. And then slowly but surely, I was able to kind of make my way into collegiate coaching. So I started at McKendree when we very first began the program in 2016 as a graduate assistant to both programs. And then over the years, I have taken on essentially every single role in the coaching program. So I moved from GA to head coach of the women's team and assistant coach of the men's team. And then I moved on to head coach of both. So it's really been an experience kind of building from the start all the way through to where I am now. But I think the experiences have really set me up for some unique opportunities in coaching and relating to my athletes.
All right. Obviously, McKendree's in a unique situation. They're in the middle of the country. Plus, they're Division II, with the majority of the programs either Division I or Division III. There's a couple of D2 programs, at least on the men's side, Mercyhurst and Cannon and Salem. And then, of course, yourselves in the Mid-Atlantic West. Talk a little bit about being Division II, what that brings to McKendree, and what advantages you have being a Division II institution.
Yeah, absolutely. I love being Division II. I think that it is a really good mix between Division I, where you are with your coach and your team all of the time, essentially through season and off season. And then you have Division III, where you get significantly less time with your team out of season, significantly less time with your coach out of season. So we kind of fit right in that middle ground. So you are still training and competing at a really high level. We have the opportunity to travel both West Coast and East Coast every year, which we are very lucky to do. We have to do it because we are so on an island in the middle of the country, but we are really lucky to go West Coast, East Coast, play all sorts of different programs. But at the same time, in your off season, you also have the opportunity to get a little bit of a college experience. So we drop down the hours of practice. You can join other clubs. You can experience campus life. We as a team typically spend a lot of time in our off season in particular, going to other sports teams, events, and cheering, hyping up the crowd. We are known for doing that. So we kind of get the best of both worlds. We work really, really hard, and we also have the time to step back and experience campus life and college life with a little bit less intense training underneath us as well.
Well, obviously, recruiting is the lifeblood of any collegiate program. How do you approach recruiting, especially at McKendree, and what do you look for future Bearcats?
So probably just like most other collegiate coaches, we spend a huge chunk of time working on building our program. in the current year and for future years. So when we're recruiting, we're really looking for athletes that kind of present to us the full package. While I can't really say that we're new anymore, we'll be entering year 5. We've just graduated our first, our inaugural class, I should say, of athletes. And so they've laid a really nice foundation for us. And we get the opportunity this year to see kind of what stuck in the culture that we created and what will be changing a little bit. So in our recruiting now, we are going to as many tournaments, as many clinics, as many combines, as many meet and greets as we possibly can. We're lucky as a D2 school right now to be in a quiet period as opposed to a dead period like the Division I schools are. So we're actually hosting some short visits on campus, which has been very nice to have some face-to-face contact with athletes and show them campus. But for the most part, we are hosting official visits very, very frequently, almost every weekend in the fall that we are not traveling with the men's team. Both myself and my assistant, Coach Zach, we spend a lot of time on the phone, on email, you know, reaching out to athletes that we know will help us, and also hearing from athletes that think that they might be a great fit for our program as well. We watch a lot of film multiple times and kind of break it down as best as we possibly can to find a role for that athlete on the team prior to them showing up, so they know exactly what it is that they need to expect. And then outside of, you know, our typical making sure that we are filling all of the positions that we need and making a positive step forward each year, we're also looking for attitude, effort, and commitment. We are in a unique position where we have to travel a lot. So having your stuff together, being organized, managing time well, and putting in a full effort in whatever it is that you're doing with a smile on your face is something that is at the very top of our list when we're recruiting. And I think for the most part, that is represented in the way that we as a team carry ourselves. But there's always room for improvement, and there's always space to introduce new skills into our team. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
All right. You're in a very unique situation for a school outside California. You have both the varsity program and collegiate clubs at the same institution. What advantages does that provide you, and would you recommend it to other schools having both a varsity and a collegiate club program?
Sure. So it's certainly a challenge. Both Zach and I work really hard at the front of our men's season to host a tryout. We recruit with the idea of varsity, but we do have the occasional athlete that comes to us wanting to play on the club team. So we spend the first couple of days of our preseason hosting a tryout for all of our athletes that have come in, and we've found that it helps us so much progress year to year, and individual athletes progressing year to year, because we don't have tons and tons of these guys sitting on the bench during games. We've essentially broken up our roster so everybody is competing, everybody gets the opportunity to improve, and there's no, well, coach, how come I'm not playing? And then I give them a reason about, you know, needing more experience. And well, I don't get experience, coach, if I'm sitting on the bench. So that has essentially gone away for us completely, which is really nice. It's doubled our work. Coach Zach is the head coach of our club program, and I assist him, and then vice versa. So we certainly have a little bit more work, but I think that it has overall given each athlete a much better experience, and an experience that suits them specifically. And then it also gives them the opportunity to grow, because you're not stuck on one team. If you make club your freshman year, maybe you grind and make varsity your sophomore year. It also works the flip side. So if I work really well my freshman year and make varsity and then kind of cruise, now I'm in a position to have to make up for what I lost because I chose to cruise. So good inter squad competition there, good opportunities to continue to improve throughout the season and in-game play. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend it. If you're willing to put in the work, I think it's absolutely worth it.
All right. I'll wrap this session up with a question I'd love to end it with. You've been coaching now for a while. What's one piece of advice you wish you knew when you started out, that you would offer yourself if you could talk to yourself when you started out? What do you know now that you wish you knew when you started out?
That all of the really long days and long nights and stressful situations are 100% worth it. When I first started, I don't know that I was anticipating just how much I was going to be putting into the position. It's not a 40-hour per week job. And that is so clear to me now, but the effort that you put in, the stress that goes into it, all of it, when you finally get to see your athletes graduate or succeed or hit that first goal, and you realize the impact that you have made on them or the impact that your program and your team has made on them, is so wildly worth it. So I think if I could kind of go back in time, I would just remind myself that it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off big. So just keep grinding through it.
All right. Coach, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.